Happening today, Kilmar Abrego Garcia is expected in court in Tennessee to face human smuggling charges. Now, you probably remember his story. He made national headlines when the Trump administration mistakenly deported him to El Salvador and refused for weeks to get him back. It sparked legal challenges and major protests demanding his return back to the States. Garcia is facing human smuggling charges stemming from a traffic stop back in 2022. The judge in the case has already ruled that Garcia can be released on bail, but he's unlikely to enjoy freedom for long, as immigration officials still have the power to detain him. Joining me now, I have NewsNation legal contributor Jesse Weber. So, Jesse, today's hearing is to discuss the conditions of Garcia's release. But what are the chances that he does get deported once again if he's let out?
I'm going to quote the words of the judge who basically said he should be released. It's an academic exercise. She knows what's going on here. Basically, if she orders his release, and it appears that she's going to, because let me tell you, I read through her opinion, and it was a strong rejection of the government's arguments, basically saying he's not a risk of flight, he's not a danger to the community, rejecting the evidence supporting that he's a gang member. If he's released, then there's an ICE detainer on him. And by all accounts, there is going to be an effort by ICE to detain him and move quickly to deport him. It does become a question about how that happens, though, because it's while there's this understanding, oh, he's just going to be immediately deported today, not quite. There has to be, he can be deported to another country, but there has to be a promise that he will not be sent back to El Salvador, because remember, he does have protection going back to El Salvador. So it is an academic exercise. It's an interesting question. The federal government is charging him with crimes. At the same time, ICE says they have an opportunity to deport him. Which is more important? What is the fate of Kilmar Abrego Garcia? It's a little undecided about this point. Which do they want to hold? Do they want to try him, or do they want him out of the country? By the way, it's not outside the possibility that when you have somebody here who's illegal and they are charged with crimes, they can be deported pending their case. So it's interesting to see what happens.
So I'm trying to wrap my head around all this, Jesse, you know, and with that being said, and the potential of being deported again, and this could just start the case, the clock all over. If you're his attorneys, do you say, let's just stay in jail? That's in your best interest to just remain here in the States, in Tennessee, where you are?
They might not. They might not have a choice. I mean, look, I think at the end of the day, they have a few options here. One, if he's granted bail at the criminal level, right? He's a granted release, then they might want to do, because I know he might have a separate legal team handling his detention hearing, what they might want to do is try to change his immigration status in some way, or try to fight his bond, or at the very least, if this is going to move through the process where they have to figure out what country he would be deported to and get some sort of assurances that he's not been sent back to El Salvador, they can appeal whatever the immigration judge ultimately decides. They can appeal it to an appellate level. They can also transfer it over to federal court. If the name of the game is to buy time and work through the legal system to actually figure out ways to protect him, whether that's, again, changing his immigration status, trying to get him a green card. I think their goal is twofold. One, fight the criminal charges, which may or may not be quite strong, and B, keep him in the country as long as possible as they fight the immigration issue.
And just a few seconds left. I mean, he's become the poster boy for the Trump's, administration's hardline stance on immigration. Does that help his case and kind of bolster his claims of persecution?
It's interesting you say that. In the opening paragraphs of the judge's decision, she really focused on that he has a right to due process. Now, yes, he has a right to due process as a criminal defendant. At the same time, I feel like she was making a statement, and that, his rights, whether or not he is actually a member of MS-13, whether or not he's an illegal immigrant, he is entitled to certain rights. And you hope that the judicial system will play out for him as it does with anybody else in his position.
We'll be following today closely. Got to end it there. Jesse Weber, thanks so much as always. Talk to you again soon.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.